I am a phantom of northern night. I am unseen by day and night, just starting to be seen. Phantom textures all I've been.
I was out and about, and I had a daydream. It was a pretty good one by all accounts. As my daydreams tend to go, I wanted to know whether it was factual or more fantasy. I tend to daydream mostly factual, but I'm not a scientist. I don't have the numbers to crunch. So I checked out my numbers with the AIs, Eve Grok and Gemini. By the time you see this, I've most likely finished writing the story. It took a while, and if I complete the videos, they'll take even longer. But if you like what you see, let me know in the comments as I present to you a preview of Going to Mars.
All right, let's jump back in time for this one. We're going to October 2032 for a really special inside look at the spaceship Saratoga. This was just 6 days before its historic launch to Mars. And what we have here is basically a highlight reel from NASA's live broadcast, an exclusive guided tour of what was about to become humanity's next giant leap. And who's our guide? Well, it's the ship's commander, Captain Hank Phantom Wilson. He's this pragmatic Texan, a real pilot's pilot. In this quote, this just says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the mission's absolute, unwavering commitment. Once they light this candle, there is no blowing it out, no turning back. So let's get to know the incredible vessel that's going to make this whole thing possible. While her official name is the Saratoga, the crew, and let's be honest, the entire world, knows her by a much more fitting nickname, Big Red. And that's named, of course, for the color of her final destination.
To say this ship is massive is, well, a huge understatement. 5,000 metric tons? That's a number that's kind of hard to even wrap your head around. But Captain Wilson put it just perfectly. He said that for all its unbelievable size, Big Red moves with the grace of a 5,000 metric ton ballerina. Now that is an image that sticks with you.
Okay, let's get into the nuts and bolts, the specs, which were laid out for us by the ship's very own AI, Aries. So at 90 meters long, it's actually shorter than the International Space Station, but it has way more usable space. But the key, the real game changer here is the propulsion. 2 cold fusion plants that feed 3 constant thrust engines. And what that means is they're not just doing a big burn and then coasting. No, they are accelerating for a huge portion of the journey. The way the crew thinks about the layout is just perfect. They call it a 5-story skyscraper laid on its side. It gives you a great mental map. So right at the quote-unquote top, deck 1 is the flight deck. Then decks 2 and 3, that's where the humans live. You've got quarters, the med bay, a gym, and labs. But decks 4 and 5, well, that's the powerhouse. That's where you find engineering, life support, and those 2 massive fusion plants and engines. You know, a ship this advanced is really nothing without its crew. So let's shift our focus from the hardware to what you might call the heartware, the diverse, elite, international team that was chosen for this absolutely monumental journey. So, who are these folks? Well, you've got Hank, the American captain. His second in command is a Brit, Roland Hawthorne, who is all about the details. The reactors are cared for by Sasha Petrova, the Russian engine mother. The propulsion genius is Dr. Yumi Nakamura from Japan, Dr. Priya Kaur from India is the materials specialist, and Dr. Chike Okonkwo from Africa is the mission doctor. And of course, there's Aries, the AI. You see, this isn't just a crew, it's a statement. This is about pooling the planet's best minds to represent a united humanity. Now, let's talk about the single greatest technological leap that makes this entire mission possible. Think about it. With 2 fusion reactors running full tilt, the Saratoga generates an unbelievable amount of heat. And in the vacuum of space, getting rid of that heat isn't just a problem, it is the problem. So, yeah, how do you solve that? You know, the traditional radiators, the kinds you see on the space station, they would need to be absolutely gigantic, and the sheer thrust coming from the Saratoga's engines would just snap them like twigs. The ship's own power was, quite literally, too hot to handle. And the answer, well, it's a technology called the Entropy Sync, or E-Sync for short. This is the breakthrough, and it happens to be Roland Hawthorne's specialty. It's this material that doesn't just absorb heat, it actively resists it by shunting the thermal energy into what's called a quantum vacuum, which is basically a different dimension of space-time. In short, it's the magic that keeps the ship from turning into its own funeral pyre. During the broadcast, Hawthorne gave this absolutely fascinating demonstration. When you apply intense heat to this solid alloy, it doesn't melt. No, instead, it becomes malleable, kind of like Play-Doh. But the second you remove the heat source, it snaps back to a solid state and is immediately cool to the touch. The heat hasn't just gone away, it's been shunted somewhere else entirely. It's incredible. So the crew has to watch this transition constantly. That Play-Doh state is their amber zone. It's okay, but you're pushing it. If it ever actually liquefies, the material could flow into other systems and then solidify, which would effectively brick the entire ship. And Hawthorne's wonderfully understated British description for this catastrophic mission-ending failure, he called it a bit of a bother. But look, this journey isn't just about revolutionary technology. It's about putting 6 very different, very brilliant, and very real people, plus one AI, into a metal can for months and months on end. So let's talk about that unpredictable, wonderful, messy human element. This little exchange right here, it just captures their dynamic perfectly. This was a snippet from the broadcast between Sasha Petrova, the engine mother, and Roland Hawthorne, the e-sync specialist. She calls his revolutionary tech magic rocks, while he complains her reactors are like petulant children. It's all lighthearted, sure, but you can feel that professional tension simmering right below the surface. And that's what makes this whole story so compelling. I mean, these are history's greatest explorers, but they're also just people. Captain Wilson literally packed his cowboy hat for Mars. They're already worried about who's stealing lunch from the ship's fridge. We learn they had one last bender before launch, and the ship's AI, Aries, is already logging arguments. This isn't science fiction anymore. This is just humanity, with all its amazing quirks heading for the stars. And so, as we wrap this up, we're left with a really powerful question, aren't we? The Saratoga is a technological marvel. The engineering is flawless. But the human element is, by its very nature, completely unpredictable. With these personalities and pressures already at play before they've even left Earth's orbit, you realize the real test won't be the engines or the heat shields or the magic rocks. The real test will be them.
Sloshing, the welds are tight. We're blind to the world in the Martian night. Fast and furious, the captain cried. We're hooking the planet for a gravity ride. The G-force hits like a hammer's blow, with 80,000 miles to go. So heave away the water jacket, drown the ghost and all its racket. Aries, keep the vector true. From a 1G push to a 2G ride, we're taking the Saratoga slide. We're going to Mars, boys. Yeah, we're going to Mars. Don't drink the water, just reach for the stars.